Hello, everybody. Mine Kettle here, and just want to touch base with you all and kind of talk about that crazy, crazy game on Saturday between Real Madrid and Liverpool for the Champions League final. My expectation of that game initially was we were going to see a very close game, lots of goals between those two teams, and we would be talking about Salah's amazing game, Ronaldo's amazing game. At least that was a script that I was imagining. At no point did I expect or even imagine that we would see that type of game. And by that, I mean that the game will be defined by mistakes, major mistakes. Uh, I feel very, very bad for Karius. You know, it's just that first goal. When I saw that live, oh my god, I could not believe I saw that. I could not believe that happened. It just seems to me so insane that could happen at that level. That's the type of mistake you would see when you're playing, and when you're a little kid. But it happened. Fair play to Benzema. He was very aware, and he saw the opportunity, went for it. I don't know what was going through Karius' mind. I don't know if he thought it was going to be a foul or what, but I can imagine if that was the only goal of the game, just defined by that. But it got even worse, right? It got even worse. Between that goal and the third goal, though, the first goal is the major blunder. The third goal is pretty bad as well, but not as bad as the first one. The third goal, I just think, is a result of just how the night was going. After you commit that type of mistake, and then Gareth Bale scores that wonder goal that, in my opinion, rivals Zidane's 2002 goal against Bayer Leverkusen. He wasn't. To him, the game was over. Whenever Benzema scored, I think it was like the 50th minute, the game was over. It was a really weird sensation. Madrid could smell blood, right? They could smell blood. Like we're gonna make this guy's night a living hell, and that's exactly what happened. So when I saw those mistakes, uh, I thought about this particular player, and that's why I'm sharing this on the screen here. Rafael Garcia Cortes, and this player he played for Real Madrid in the late '70s, early '80s, and he was part of the team that played against Liverpool in the Champions League final, which back then was called the European Cup, and the 1980-1981 European Cup final. And he screwed up. He screwed up in the final. He was trying to clear the ball, and then Alan Kennedy scored the only goal in the game. That was an 82nd minute. So when I saw Karius' mistakes, I thought, holy shit, like history's repeating itself, except now it's in favor of Madrid. And I wish there was a happy ending to this story for Rafael Garcia Cortes, but his Real Madrid journey as a professional player, at least, came to an end after that game. He got sold to, I think, Zaragoza. Yeah, Zaragoza, and then Mallorca. And then he finished his career in Rayo Vallecano. And then he eventually became, I think, probably like the youth system coordinator for Real Madrid. So essentially, the team, kicked him out. And you have to take into consideration that back then, the European Cup final, only the teams that would win the league the previous season were allowed to compete in the European Cup final. So imagine if you're Real Madrid and you're having a shit season. This is essentially your only trophy, and there's only a chance to go after the trophy, because if you win the league, you're not going to participate in the European Cup at all. So even more pressure. At least nowadays, with the Champions League format, depending which country, the first 3 or 4 or 5, whatever spots in the league standing are allowed to participate. But back then it wasn't that way, so even more pressure. And I feel really bad for Karius. Pretty bad. He's only 24 years old. And I'm seeing, I think, 50-50 in terms of support for Karius. Some people are very angry and are blaming him. And yeah, I guess they're kind of right. But at the end of the day, this is just a game. We can't be so extremist in that sense. At the end of the day, in my opinion, it's Klopp's fault. Klopp's fault because you're getting a goalkeeper that you're kind of paying what you get, right? You should probably go for if your true ambition is to compete and win these games, you have to have a good goalkeeper. That's why what happened to Guardiola's Man City the previous season. Between Bravo and Caballero, it was just a mess. And then he had to buy Ederson, and you can see the difference it makes. If you start off from the back and your goalkeeper commits confidence, he's cool as a cucumber, then everything kind of falls in place. But wasn't there always like a sense of doubt regarding Karius? He usually shipped a lot of goals as well. That game against Roma, geez, Louise. I guess what I'm trying to say here is that I hope Karius is okay. I hope that we're not too harsh on him. Again, put it all in perspective. This is just a game, but mistakes happen, right? That's what makes this game amazing. This is why we love this sport, because we can, I guess to a certain extent, we can kind of all relate to Karius. We've all had those mistakes. We've all committed those mistakes at one point or the other, where the pressure's on and maybe we just were concentrated or we just caught off guard and we just screwed up, and, lights on us, especially for a goalkeeper. A midfielder can screw up and that can be analyzed after the fact. Maybe it may not be so obvious to everybody, where the misplaced pass can kind of lead up to a counterattack, etc. But for a goalkeeper, especially that those two situations, it wasn't as if it was active play. The first goal was just Benzema being very, very, how they say in Spanish, listo. Very aware of what's going to happen. He sensed it. He went for it. He scored. And the third goal was just, it wasn't like a tiki-taka, dribbling. No, it's just a long shot from Bale, and he just, he should have punched it out or something, but he just went in, and since it was that type of mistake, it's even compounded further. It's so isolated from the game itself, those two incidences. So you gotta feel for him. You have to. You can rip him apart, but at the end of the day, man, hopefully it all works out for him, though. There is life after Liverpool, so, and I hope that he shows that mental fortitude required to kind of go on. And, I hope that we don't define his career by these two mistakes. I hope that in the future we define his career by, Karius, the player who, won the Champions League final for Team X because he saved penalties or whatever. That wouldn't that be a journey? Probably make a movie out of him, man. But that's all for now. I just want to share this, the parallels between past and present, and how sometimes mistakes may define our future if we let them. It should be an opportunity for him as well to maybe try a different club or something. It just depends. It depends what club wants to do, but stay strong, Karius, if you're watching. All right, guys. Hope you had a great weekend, and we'll keep in touch. Cheers. Bye.